Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Market Close. It is Wednesday, January 22nd. This is the second day underneath the Trump administration, and we got a lot of headlines that we've now received since the morning. Equities are doing relatively okay. The 10-year spiking a little bit on some stuff Trump said about Russia, the dollar as well, not really going too far down, not really going up. It's actually up just a little bit, about 12 cents. But overall, a relatively simple day for markets. Nothing too crazy, nothing too exciting in terms of the upside or the downside. However, we do have equities that are maintaining their multiples, some of them expanding their multiples. And given what we got from Netflix yesterday, the market's starting to take a real hard look on the macro elements that are making people feel bullish, and also the actual company-specific earnings elements that are making people a lot more bullish. Now, we do have some headlines that literally just broke, and I'm just going to get straight into the Palantir one because we found out about this from Bloomberg, I think 5 minutes ago. Like I literally just made the title for the stream to change it, so we're just going to get right into it and start going deeper, and then we'll get into all the other headlines we got. Good morning, thank you everybody for being here. Cash King, Akshay, Bay Ray, what's up? Midwest, Craig, Anderson, Dragos, good morning, or good afternoon, I should say. Good evening, Peter, Mark. Thank you everybody for being here today. Michelle. Aaron, what's up? We'll talk about the yen carry trade. We talked about that in the morning, but we'll talk more about it a little bit later on the show. All right, so here's the headline on Palantir. They are competing for a $22 billion contract for the IVIS headset. This is a $22 billion production contract. Palantir and Kopin are competing for it. Now, that does not mean Palantir is going to get $22 billion. Palantir is going to get a small slice of that. They're not literally going to get $22 billion, but this is pretty interesting. Bloomberg reported this literally 15 minutes ago. Some other updates on this, and then we're going to keep going from there. So this is a little bit more of an update. This is the IVIS headset production contract. Sources say the open competition on this is expected to determine the winner. Kopin, which is another public company, honestly, that I've never really heard of. Today's the first day I've got to know more about them. Their stock is up 11% on this news. They have a market cap of $227 million, more of a small cap. Palantir, obviously much of a large cap at $150 billion, is competing with Kopin for this contract. Again, this is not $22 billion going to Palantir, but this is a contract that allows Palantir to expand into the VR AR vertical. Now, if you've never heard of IC2, which is immersive command and control, then that's part of the Palantir thesis. I did a video on this a long time ago that you might have missed. So as you can see right here, this is me at the DC conference they had back in May of 2024 wearing one of the first editions of their headset. And it's actually pretty cool. It's one of those things. I saw this like simulated scenario around Taiwan and China, and it is a lot of different use cases that they think is applicable in the defense space. Obviously in the military is another big area where the government thinks headsets could be really important. Now here is GoCarp's reporting on this. GoCarp is a friend of the channel, also known as Adam, and he's been studying this stuff for a while. He said right here, remember years ago when everyone called me crazy about Palantir getting to AR, VR? How did that age? Like fine wine. And now after a few sips, it's time to pour another glass. Remember when I said a few months ago that the Army isn't happy with progress on IVIS and they will rebuild it even after the Microsoft Anduril news, which at that point people interpreted was their contract to win in the context of the military headsets. Army kickstarts possible compete of Microsoft $22 billion IVIS production deal. The service published its new integrated visual augmentation service, IVIS Next request for information today, giving interested companies until February 26th, later this month, to respond with their solutions for the combat-suitable heads-up display. And GoCarp right here says it does seem like Palantir has a shot to get a bid. He's quoting from an article. Microsoft did not immediately respond to questions about the new RFI today, but as previously said, it will throw its hat in the ring. Anduril founder Palmer Luckey has also teased development of a new mixed reality device, though it is not clear if this would be a partnership with Microsoft. Massachusetts-based Kopin has also said it's interested in completing, while companies like Palantir may also be eyeing a bid. So really cool stuff. What is Kopin? Honestly, I'm finding out about them today. They are a small cap. I've really never heard about these guys before. But this is their website right here. It seems like they specialize in micro displays and wearable technologies. And it would make sense for them to compete with Palantir inside of this type of a contract. What's really cool about this, and maybe that's why Palantir is up 5%. I mean, outside of the macro pump that we got today on a lot of different stocks, Palantir could be up because the street knew that this military contract competition open bid was happening. And I'm sure the market has some level of at least hope or excitement that Palantir is able to win this, just given their R&D, given their resources, given the fact that IC2 is something Palantir has been working on for well over 2 years now. And it might be time to get a contract into the prime time when it comes to actually winning certain deals. Palantir right here up 5.13% on the day. What's really excited about immersive command and control is that Palantir is not a hardware company, they're a software company. So the hardware they were using was the Meta Quest. It's not like Palantir is going to be creating their own devices. You could do the Vision Pro, the Meta Quest, you could use any of these devices. The question truly is the ontology inside of the software in the mixed reality headset in and of itself that is actually simulating scenarios that are meaningful enough for people on the battlefield to then engage in. And so I think that's very exciting in the context of Palantir and their ability to potentially grab this contract, up 5.15% here on the day. The other reason it's exciting, it's another vertical. Palantir, again, my thesis since 2021 has been that I think their software can expand to every single vertical in the world. Military headsets and the AI, VR, AR angle in regards to making that stuff a reality seems like a perfect place for Palantir to throw their hat in the ring on. And then let's see in the next couple months, they're going to probably submit a bid by February 26th. It's probably going to take a few months for them to build something that the government then has a chance to then decide if they want to procure it. And if so, this might be our first headset contract on Palantir, which would be very, very exciting as well. Also, another reason Palantir pumped today is because of the Stargate stuff. We'll talk more about that in a bit, but obviously Stargate has pumped up the entire market when it comes to AI, semiconductors, all that stuff. NVIDIA right here, I haven't looked at it in about an hour. NVIDIA's up 4.2%, 146.72. Not bad on NVIDIA. SoFi as well, down about 1.1%. It was down 3%, so SoFi getting a little bit of a breather. Rocket Lab, 29.86. I did buy Rocket Lab today. For those that are wondering, I bought it at 28.91. 29.87 on Rocket Lab, down 4.48%. I think I bought it when it was down like 6% on the day. So officially a shareholder of Rocket Lab. Robinhood, nice day. I did buy another 100 shares of Robinhood today at 50. It's at $50.10. We'll see if we can close out the day at 50. 2 days in a row closing out at 50 would be awesome. That'd be nice. Might close at 49.50 or 49.80, whatever it is. But 2 days in a row on a $50 close would not be bad for a hood. Tempest right here up 5.5%. That also surpassing 50. Grab was up about 1% of the day. Netflix up 9.4%. Gave back about 5% of its gains. The Q's up 1.22%, close to all-time highs. ARM Holdings, Operation Stargate, pumping that one up 15.4%. You got Palantir up 5%, NVIDIA up 4.2%, and then you got all the semis getting some love as well today. Dell right here is up 3.6%. SMCI is up 4%. AMD is up 1.2%. Micron is the only one that is down 0.3% on the day. Solana is running as well. Let me pull that up. Solana, yeah, 6% on Solana. I wonder if the Trump meme coin is running on that. That's up 6.2%. I bought 100 shares of Rocket Lab for the person that asked. 100 shares of Rocket Lab today. Copen did spike 13% just now on that news. The Trump meme coin is down 8%. Interesting. So Solana's up 7%, even though the Trump meme coin, which is on the Solana blockchain, is down 8%. So not sure what's causing the... one of the reasons Solana might be pumping is because there was another ETF filed for it, if I'm not wrong. And so the more ETFs that are filed to get inflows into the asset class, that being Solana. And this news as well. Shout out to, yes, I'm beneficial. I saw this headline this morning. Future additions. The CME is thinking of adding futures for Solana and XRP. Yes, it is futures contracts. That's correct. The ETF headline was yesterday for XRP and Solana. The futures contracts, which I'm beneficial, link right there. That could be another reason why it's running. I saw that headline like 3 hours ago though. So I wonder, I don't know. It's kind of a little bit of a delayed pump, but nonetheless, Solana right here, one of the most used blockchains in the decentralized finance community. That one right here up 6%. This thing almost got to 300 over the weekend when Trump launched the meme coin, and then it kind of went back down to 240. But that one not doing too bad. XRP is also up. Let me take a look at that. XRP is up 1.46%, 323 on XRP. I mean, the fact that XRP is holding $3, dude, this thing could barely get over $1 5 months ago. So this thing has not done too bad here on the day. Tesla, where is Tesla going right now? We do have two earnings after the bell, Kinder Morgan, and then we have Discover. So we'll take a look at those two companies. One is energy infrastructure, one is financials, and we'll see what that looks like there. 416.20 on Tesla, down 1.85%. Again, I think the EV mandate thing is the thing that's hurting Tesla. I did buy 10 more shares of Tesla today. I bought 5 shares of Meta, 10 shares of Tesla, 100 shares of SoFi, 100 shares of Rocket Lab, 100 shares of Hood. and then 5 contracts for SMCI at a $50 strike for January 2027. So we did a little bit of buying today and yesterday, bought Amazon, Google, and NVIDIA yesterday, and started to broaden out the portfolio a bit. Also, I bought a little bit more Grab. So we were just trigger finger happy today, and we were letting it loose. But that is the buying that I did today. Tesla, again, I don't know. Maybe it's the EV mandate thing. Rivian right here, also down 4.2%. It does feel like all the EVs are getting hit on this. Is NIO down as well? NIO's actually up a little bit. So Rivian and Tesla are the ones that are kind of getting hit currently from this EV mandate. So fear and greed index is at neutral. Fear and greed is at neutral. We'll talk more about macro after the bell. But as of this morning, actually, no, we just got right back into fear. It's so crazy, bro. As soon as you get a little bit of like red, and remember, this is what happened in 2024. Like, we're not really seeing any red. Where's the S&P? Are we still at all-time highs? We did hit all-time highs on the S&P today. Now we're just below. So we were at 609. Now we're at 608. And we went from neutral to fear. Like, if this is the market that we're going to be in for the next 12 months, which every little dip gets bought, which is exactly what happened in 2024, it's going to be a good year. It's going to be a really fun year, especially if the broader tech earnings can justify some of the multiple expansion that we want to see. But so far, at least in January, that is what we are getting right now. How do you feel about Verizon upcoming earnings? I have no idea, to be honest. I don't study Verizon that well. I would imagine Verizon's going to be fine. I don't think they would suffer from lack of consumer demand or anything. So Verizon should be good. But I think that'll be happening next week, and we'll take a look at that. Discovery Financial, let me pull up their ticker. We're going to have to look at that in 3 minutes after the bell. So that's DFS. Let me know if anyone owns DFS or Kinder Morgan. DFS right here. Wow, that's up 5%. All right, so that's a little bit of a pre-earnings pump as we get into earnings. Kinder Morgan is down 1.4%. We know that energy infrastructure has been catching a bid. Vistra, Next, all these companies have been getting some momentum, so maybe KMI gets some love, and then Discover Financials. Financials have been great. It's already pumping 5% before earnings, so we'll see if that's a sell the news or if those earnings continues to expand Kinder Morgan's as well. So there we go. That's what we got going on right now. After the bell, we're going to talk about this Elon, Trump, Sam Altman situation that has been going on today. Some of you guys might not have kept up with it, but the situation has gotten juicier and juicier, and there's just like a ton of random stuff happening with this whole Stargate thing, which has indeed pumped the market today, and maybe tomorrow the market sells off on it. But so far, NVIDIA right here at 147, the market is very excited about that $500 billion of investment. I read some other stuff that I'll share later that, Elon says there's no $500 billion, and there's some arguments that there actually is no $500 billion, that like the whole $500 billion thing is not real. So, I mean, well, to Elon's credit, we'll go through some of the numbers on if that's the case or not. But Sam and Elon have been going at it pretty much all day based on what was happening here. And the JFK files are released apparently later today as well. I did hear that headline. I don't know if exactly it's going to happen, but I did see that headline that the JFK files that Trump said he would release are going to be released later today. So we're going to see if that ends up playing out. That's $500 billion over 4 years and not today. Yeah, but if you look at some of the numerical analysis between SoftBank's balance sheet and Oracle's balance sheet, I'm also confused where the hell they're getting $500 billion from. Because if you actually look at the numbers, they do not have $500 billion anywhere. Unless they go raise some money from somewhere else. But if they're raising money, then it's not SoftBank's money and it's not Oracle's money. Like they have more in debt than they have in cash for both of those entities. So Elon does kind of have a point. He's like, where the hell is this $500 billion coming from? It's just kind of weird because Trump wants to get the victory on like $500 billion investment. And Elon's like, well, that's not real. So lots of nuance going on today in terms of that headline and how it's ultimately playing out. All right, here we go. We got 10 seconds left until the market closes. S&P just below all-time highs. Robinhood looks like it's going to get that $50 close again for the second time in a row. Here we go. Wednesday, January 22nd, 4 p.m. The stock market is now closed. All right, markets are officially closed. Robinhood, it did hit 51, by the way, earlier today. I think we hit 51.07, something like that. But we did get another $50 close, 2 days in a row. Very nice. 2 days in a row. 50 is new price discovery for Hood for it to hold that level. Absolutely incredible on Robinhood. 2 days in a row. $50 close. Nvidia, 147, up 4.43%. Nvidia is now the most valuable company on planet Earth. Apple was down. Actually, Apple was up 0.5%, but Apple now 3.37 trillion. Nvidia comfortably in the lead at 3.6 trillion. Palantir crushed it today, up 5.2%. We haven't had a 5% day on Palantir in a while. 76.87, 76.95 after hours, just 13 cents away from 77. We did hit 77.16 at one point. $175 billion market cap, up 5.2% on the day, potentially on this $22 billion rumor for headsets, but also because of the Stargate momentum that we'll talk more about in just a bit. Discover Financial and Kinder Morgan, we're going to wait for their numbers. I think it's going to be out in about 5 minutes. Discover already up about 2.4 or 0.24%, and Kinder Morgan flat after hours right now. SMCI up 4.35% of the day. Tesla was down 2%. Bitcoin holding 104 very nicely. Archer was up about 0.67%. The S&P 500 up 0.5%. SoFi was down 1.73%, but did recover from the lows of, I think, 1730 today. TSSI, we heard about that today, up 15.3%, potentially pitched as the SMCI for Dell and their Texas data centers. So that one catching a bit from the Stargate momentum as well. Netflix ends the day up 9.69%. At one point was 1,006. Now closing the day at 953. ARM, massive day off of Stargate momentum, 15.93%. $200 billion market cap for ARM. Price to sales of 53. A lot of it coming from the Stargate headlines. Google, 198. That was basically flat on the day. Transmedics was up 9.24% of the day. Not too bad. Uber, up 0.09%. Ulta Beauty was down. Elf Beauty was down 1.4%. Costco was down 0.32%. United Airlines gave back some of the love. It was up 5%. Now it's down 2.3% on the day. And then you have Nvidia right here, up 4.5%, which is not too bad. It is not my birthday today. My birthday is October 27th. But I'm happy that's not a meme in the chat anymore, where every day you guys came and you wished me happy birthday. That was it was a meme for like a couple months, and now it's not happening anymore. Now that I say it, now everyone's probably going to wish me happy birthday, but I'm happy we got through that stage of the market open. I'm happy we got through that stage. What is your Rocket Lab target amid? Isn't it already pumped a little bit nowadays? Yes, I am the sucker that buys Rocket Lab after a 30% pump. I bought it because my friend Matt Money bought Hood, so it was kind of a little bit of an exchange. If he's going to buy Hood, I'm going to buy Rocket Lab. I got it at 28.91. It's probably going to come down below that. I do not think I got the bottom on this. If I did, that's like the most impeccable timing ever. I mean, that's just insane. So we'll DCA into it. It is what it is. But 29.73 right here on Rocket Lab, up just a little bit after hours. No numbers from Kinder Morgan or Discover yet. Let me make sure. Discover Financial, we just want to make sure that financials are doing good. And so that's why those numbers are important. Yeah, no numbers yet. And then Kinder Morgan as well. We just want to make sure energy infrastructure is continuing to do well. No numbers from them yet. Market wants 33 cents per share and 4.1 billion on Kinder Morgan. And on Discover, I'll get the expectations in a second and we'll read those as well. Bay Ray says you got the top. You were someone's exit liquidity. Exactly. I was I was definitely someone's exit liquidity today. Thank you for all the birthday wishes. I appreciate it. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for the happy birthday wishes. At this point, I will be like 150 years old because we'll get a happy birthday every day. Wow, look, we got a super chat. Thank you, Armand, for the 279 super chat. Happy birthday. Appreciate it. Jed says definitely not the bottom on Rocket Lab, 40% upside in the next couple of years. Look, I mean, I think you guys do enough DD. This is a company I've really not done research on, but the chat, you guys have done so much damn research on this. So if this is more like a chat stock, but that's okay because you guys have done incredible on this stock. I've not really participated in the due diligence process of it, but let's see. Let's see how they do on earnings. Either they crush it and they keep going higher, or they get a nice spanking and they get hit because they are up a lot year to date on no results, kind of just headlines and narrative. And so we'll see kind of on earnings how they end up showing the growth, and maybe if they get to a quicker timeline for profitability than expected. VST was up 0.81% on the day. Tempest AI, let's take a look at those guys. They were up another 6%. Again, a Nancy buy. This thing was up 35% yesterday, another 5% today. So 40% in 2 days, primarily based on the fact that Nancy Pelosi bought this. CrowdStrike was up 3% on the day. Palo Alto Networks as well, up 2.28% on the day. Palantir still pumping after hours, now 76.98. Up 0.13% after hours right now. Cool. Okay, so let's get into we'll get into the Kinder Morgan Discover earnings once we get those numbers. Let's talk about Trump, Elon, and Sam Altman. But before that, real quick, let me just play this 1-minute clip of Larry Fink with some ambitious targets for Bitcoin, and then we'll get into the love triangle between those three.
If you're frightened of your debasement of your currency, or you're frightened of your economic or political stability of your country, you could have an internationally based instrument called Bitcoin that will overcome those local fears. And so I'm a big believer in the utilization of that as an instrument. And so if that becomes true, and you see that it could be a proper.
Can't turn up the volume, guys. Sorry, this is on Twitter. It's like 30 seconds left, but I can't turn up the volume anymore because that's the highest volume.
Hedge against maybe hope security or equities. Yeah. The question is, could you see a 2 or 5% allocation? I was with a sovereign wealth fund during this week, and that was the conversation. Should we have a 2% allocation? Should we have a 5% allocation? If everybody adopted that conversation, but it would be 500,000, 600,000, 700,000 per Bitcoin.
Well, does it also?
I'm not promoting it, by the way. So that is not my promotion.
That is absolutely his promotion, because Larry Fink wants those sweet, sweet, juicy ETF inflows. By the way, yesterday's ETF inflows were 900 million in the Bitcoin ETFs. But essentially, Larry Fink saying if everyone thought of Bitcoin as a response to the debasement of the currency in the United States in particular, 500,000, 600,000, 700,000. I mean, Larry Fink thinks that this thing can get bigger and bigger and bigger. So when you've got the institutionalization from some of the most powerful people on the planet, Larry Fink being up there, and I would say top 10 powerful people on the planet, and then you got the White House with this crypto task force kind of mobilizing the SEC around digital asset legislation. Again, it just feels hard to be bearish on crypto, at least over the next year, next couple quarters, given all the amount of resources that are being allocated to the asset class from a qualitative and quantitative perspective. So you got Larry Fink saying, he thinks Bitcoin can go much higher than where we are right now. All right, so let's talk about Elon and Sam Altman and everything going on today. This was this was just one of those stories where it's just like, there's a lot of stuff going on. So this is the thing, if anyone missed it today. So OpenAI says, hey, Stargate, 500 billion. We are going to be the beneficiaries of a massive industrial investment by the United States. Elon says they don't have the money. And Elon says SoftBank only has under $10 billion secured. I have that on good authority. Sam Altman says wrong, as you surely know. Do you want to come visit the first site already underway? This is great for the country. I realize what is great for the country isn't always what's optimal for your companies, but in your new role, I hope you mostly put America first. Sam Altman taking the high road here, not trying to kind of fight back at Elon, but rather just saying, wait a second, this is not really American, because if you cared about America, you would care about the U.S. consumer winning. You would care about American industrialization. You would care about all these investments. And in order to have these investments, we have to have the ability to then believe that there are more jobs to be created and there's more models to be trained, et cetera, et cetera. Elon obviously doesn't like Sam Altman. Elon really doesn't think OpenAI should be an entity, given he thinks it was a nonprofit and it should have always stayed a nonprofit. And then he has a competing $50 billion company, which is a third of the valuation of OpenAI's $150 billion, called XAI. Sources said that Trump and Sam Altman last Friday talked on the phone for a long time, way longer than the keynote presentation we saw yesterday. And Sam Altman was basically telling him about all the different ways that AI was going to change the world. And Trump was listening very intently. Sources also said that it was a very amicable conversation. So then yesterday on the grand public stage, Trump calls Sam Altman one of the leaders of AI. And quite frankly, I think Elon's just like, screw this, right? I think Elon's just like, they don't have the money to be able to afford $500 billion. This is a misleading headline. And he obviously does not want $500 billion of data center CapEx spend to then benefit the foundation model that is OpenAI, because Elon has a competing foundation model. What's weird about this nuance is I think Sam is right that if you're putting America first, then you want as much investment as could come into the United States, which no matter who it's coming from, you want that investment to then spur more excitement. Palantir 77 after hours. But number two, I think Elon's also right with this idea of where do you get the $500 billion from? Because in his head, he's like, okay, so this is just some random headline that you guys think is that people are being fooled by, because there's not actually $500 billion being invested in any significant way. What's also very interesting about this is that the Trump angle, right? Elon is good friends with Trump, and the problem is that Trump wants the political capital from a victory of saying that he got $500 billion to be invested into the United States on his second day of being in office. Obviously not all $500 billion being deployed tomorrow, but in his first 100 days of the administration, he got something done. By the way, SoftBank already committed Masasan to invest in $100 billion before he got inaugurated. So you've got all these weird internal dynamics, because it's like, wait a second, why is Elon trying to downplay the announcement that is good for Trump? And maybe it's because his hatred of Sam Altman and OpenAI is outweighing his love for Trump. But then you got Sam Altman basically saying, Elon, you're wrong. We already have a Texas data center that we're building out. We do have the money to be able to fund this. We're going to have more money in the future. And if money is good for America, or investment is good for America, and more money is coming from these investments, that's something you should put first over your hatred for me as a person. Which I think all of us can agree there is some legitimacy to why Elon is not necessarily the happiest with Sam Altman. So this is what was happening all day. And it was kind of crazy to see how all of this played out and where this story is going to go. Let me play this clip right here, and then we'll talk about the financials in terms of if the money's even available to get this $500 billion invested into the United States.
Hi, Scott. So I'm told by a source that OpenAI CEO Sam Altman had a, quote, lengthy phone call with President Trump on Friday. It did focus on AI's potential. They walked through what this technology is really capable of and certain parts of the infrastructure plan that was laid out yesterday. The source here asked not to be named because these discussions were confidential, but they did say it was productive. They described it as amicable. And Trump publicly yesterday really calling Altman at the White House the leading expert on AI. And then on that call Friday, I mentioned President Trump, according to this person who was in the room, said Trump was most animated about the actual building aspect here and the importance of this happening in the U.S. and not happening in China, what it signaled for confidence in the country under his administration, and then the potential job creation that was also mentioned yesterday. I am told that the OpenAI team first met with the Trump team back in June. This was in Las Vegas to do a demonstration of the technology. It was through the COO of the company, Brad Lightcap, and Greg Brockman, who is the OpenAI president.
We'll go back to that in a second, but here are the financials to kind of break down why Elon might be right that they don't have money. Stargate is a great name, but the $500 billion is a ridiculous number, and no one should take it seriously unless SoftBank is going to sell all of their BABA and their ARM. SoftBank has $38 billion in cash, $142 billion in debt, and generates $3 billion in free cash flow. They own $143 billion in ARM, aka 90% of the company, and $18 billion in Alibaba. If they start selling ARM, their stake will be worth much less very quickly because they're going to be dumping shares on the open market, and then ARM's valuation will go down. So SoftBank doesn't have the money. At most, they have $38 billion in cash, which I don't think they can invest all of their cash into American infrastructure. Like maybe they would be willing to do that, but that's not $500 billion. Then we talk about Oracle. Oracle has $11 billion in cash, $88 billion in debt, and generates $10 billion in free cash flow. They don't have the money to be able to do this. OpenAI is burning cash. MGX did not commit to a number and is a $100 billion fund. Maybe 10% of their fund goes into this, which is the best case. I mean, even if they gave all $100 billion, you've still got $400 billion missing for this $500 billion announcement. And again, I don't know if this is going to be true or not. I'm just going off the headline. The headline is $500 billion over 4 years. And I think Elon does have a point of like, where the hell are we getting this $500 billion from? NVIDIA is going to participate, but they're going to limit how much they invest in any one model company, maybe $5 billion. Barring the aforementioned SoftBank ARM sale, it might be able to put together $50 billion in equity funding over several years, can obviously finance the GPUs, nowhere close to $500 billion. And essentially, this tweet concludes with the idea that if you're a professional investor or analyst and you took the $500 billion at face value, you should resign in disgrace. So this tweet was like straight up, hey, this $500 billion number is absolute garbage. It's not real. And Elon is correct to be pointing out it's not real. But then the question becomes, why was that the headline? And, you know, well, one of the reasons that was the headline is probably because Trump wanted a nice big number. 500 billion is a great number. But is that a real headline? Elon is pocket watching. That tweet was pocket watching, and Elon is definitely pocket watching. But it does make sense, because even when I heard that last night, I was like, wait a second. 500 billion is $500 billion. Where is that coming from? Like, where's $500 billion coming from, right? And so it's one of those things where Trump doesn't care where the hell it's coming from. He just wants the credit for it. Sam Altman just wants as much money as possible, even if it's 500 billion, 50 billion. He just needs more money for GPUs to train the models. But Elon's the one guy saying, wait a second, guys, this makes no sense. It's just the nuances. He's stuck in the middle of Trump and Sam. He likes Trump, hates Sam, but the way he's framing this might make both of them not like him as much.
Also hearing that Altman's ties to Larry Ellison, a longtime Trump supporter and founder of Oracle, have helped his standing with the Trump team. He also has the support and financial backing, importantly, of Masayoshi Son, the SoftBank founder. Those two are increasingly close. That relationship has gotten stronger, and Masa's son has already committed, you'll remember, $100 billion to invest in the U.S. ahead of this Stargate announcement that came yesterday. Those ties to Ellison and Son are really important, guys. It's given him what appears to be a halo effect, which so far has been outweighing the beef that Sam Altman has with another key Trump ally, Elon Musk. There had been some questions in this administration on how Altman was going to fare. Musk, of course, the co-founder of Tesla, a variety of companies, and also a co-founder of OpenAI, still suing OpenAI over its nonprofit status. Altman responding to Musk's post on social media, kind of ragging on this deal. He responded saying, wrong, as you surely know. This is great for the country. He says, I realize what's great for the country isn't always what's optimal for your companies, but I hope you'll mostly put America, or the USA emoji, first. So Altman publicly fighting back as well. Scott, back to you.
So that's a drama going on right now. Look, is this drama going to be that serious over like the next week or even over the next couple of days? I don't think so. I mean, it is what it is. Well, Elon is Elon, Sam is Sam, and ultimately Trump is going to still try to get as much money invested as possible. But it is one of those first initial like weird moments between all three. And given Elon is still suing Sam, this might be part of the overall argument Elon's making around the idea that Sam Altman and OpenAI just tend to lie and not accurately represent what their true intentions are. Even if Trump is a fan of Sam Altman and had dinner with the team in Vegas and got to know a lot more about their technology. Okay, we have earnings. Let's look at earnings. So we have Kinder Morgan that unfortunately missed on the top and the bottom. Top and the bottom miss on KMI by 1 cent on EPS, not too bad. And then on revenue, that is not a crazy miss, but it's not the best miss. KMI stock right now down 1%. That's okay. It was down 1.4% during the day, down 1% after hours. Nothing too crazy off of a double miss. Discover Financials, I don't think we have their numbers yet. They are slightly up after hours, but don't have Discover Financials numbers up yet. Here's another stock that I don't know about. Does anyone know about this? Ticker symbol AA. Aloka. What is this? Alcoa? AA. I have no idea what this company is. AA, they are a $10 billion company. They're up 3%. They beat on the top and the bottom, 104 versus 101 on EPS, 3.4 versus 3.45 on revenue. Aluminum, they make aluminum. Okay, well, it is not a chocolate company. Apparently, it's an aluminum company. It looks like aluminum is in high demand. They're up 3.82%. Let me see how they performed last year. AA stock was up 40% last year. And year to date, it's up 2%. Not really a small cap at 10 billion, but it is a smaller company than some of the large caps that we've had on earnings. Did anyone know what that company was, bro? I didn't know that company. Don't make it seem like I'm the only one who didn't know what Alcoa was. Probably saying that wrong, but wow, you guys are saying you all knew this company. I didn't know this company. I didn't know they make aluminum. Well, there you go. AMAT, check AMAT. Is AMAT pumping off a little bit of this? No, that's flat after hours. That's up 1.3% during the day. Palantir is still catching a bid, man. Palantir up another 1/3% after hours. Again, for those that are just joining, we talked about the Palantir $22 billion contract in the beginning of the show. But for those that are just joining, Palantir from Bloomberg, this is the rumor by Bloomberg. It might not be accurate, but Bloomberg is saying Palantir is in the running to compete for a $22 billion Army IVAS headset production contract. They are competing with Kopin. And they would not get all 22 billion, obviously, but that's where their IC2 product, immersive command and control, would be getting its first really big government contract if they were to get this contract, if this contract is even a thing. I mean, again, it's still a rumor by Bloomberg, so can't confirm that it is absolutely correct. Have you ever used aluminum foil? Yes, but that is the extent to my understanding of aluminum. Dude, you guys can't act like I'm the only one who didn't know what AA was. Ticker symbol AA. Like, there's no way that's on your watch list. AA, and you look at AA every day. Some of these companies that you just don't know about it. I didn't know there was an aluminum company. I don't know. This company's been around for a long time, though. AA, how long have they been public? AA stock. 2016. Okay, so it's not like into the 1980s or something, but it's been about 9 years that they've been public. All right, let's hear from Ed Yardeni, and then we'll get Discover financial numbers. Roaring 20s are still here. Let's see what he has to say, and if we can continue the market momentum that we have been seeing so far.
Is lagging amid questions about where interest rates are going from here. Our next guest says he's tempted to get more bullish on that trade. Let's bring in Ed Yardeni of Yardeni Research. Good to have you back. Welcome.
Thank you, Scott.
Why are you trying to fall in love with the small caps here?
Well, because I've been out of love with them for quite some time, and they have actually done reasonably well. But I think this market is broadening out. I think we've got a roaring 2020s kind of bull market here, and valuations clearly are stretched on the larger caps, and the mid caps are looking more interesting, particularly the mid caps more than the small caps, quite honestly. In terms of the fundamentals, you're seeing better earnings performance and expectations in the S&P 400, whereas the S&P 600 is still, the fundamentals aren't that exciting. But look, it's when people are excited about buying stocks, you see money going in all areas, and I think they will catch up some.
Well, I'm glad you clarified it a little bit, because it is more nuanced. Because as you know, Lori Calvasina, who was on with me top of our program.
Again, every analyst is, and someone else said this on CNBC today. So this is not an original thought, even though we've been kind of saying this for the past couple of weeks. But one of the analysts on CNBC actually said today that they think the small cap trade is crowded because everyone is saying that this is the rotation you should be in. And I was happy that finally someone said what we've all been thinking about, which is that if everyone's thinking the rotation is IWM or even mid caps, maybe that's not where the alpha is. Maybe the alpha just might be in either individual stocks that you have to be selective on, or the large caps, because the winners keep winning.
Today, can't get behind the small caps, says they're too expensive. There's not enough growth. To your point, the fundamentals don't really match where these stocks are trading right now.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of M&A activity. I think a lot of the large caps are going to continue to pick some of the best of the breed in the small cap and mid cap area. And I think banks and technology stocks in those areas may very well benefit from an M&A mania, which I think is still ahead of us now that we've got a new administration that's not going to get in the way of, with antitrust measures, of a lot of M&A activity.
It feels to me overall, Ed, like you're trying to get a little more bullish on this market. And it's not just through the small and mid caps. It's that you're raising your estimates for earnings growth, which you're going to need, really, given where valuations are, correct?
Well, Scott, I've been bullish all along in terms of where it's going. I still think it's going to go to 7,000 by the end of the year. I've had $285 a share for the S&P 500 for this year for quite some time, and that's probably the highest on the street in terms of what the S&P 500 can accomplish. And I'm thinking maybe that number is conservative, or maybe I'll have to raise it, because so far it looks like the fourth quarter of 2024 is coming in better than expected. Analysts were expecting 8%. Now they're expecting 9% year-over-year increase. I was expecting 10%. Now I'm expecting 12% increase in the fourth quarter. So we ended up last year with quite a bit of momentum in earnings. I did think that there might be a pullback, maybe even a correction back in December. I thought it might occur. And we did have a bit of a pullback, down about 4% through January 10th. But last week was quite an amazing week, because all the concerns about the bond market going to 5% kind of melted away. A Fed official said that, well, maybe they will cut by more than 2 times, maybe 3 to 4 times. The inflation came in better than expected. And now with the inauguration, Trump did not raise tariffs from day one. And that was a bit of a relief, suggesting that tariffs will be used for negotiating purposes.
Well, I mean, they could start soon enough. Day one doesn't really tell the whole story. I think the president himself made that point. Now, to your point, Jamie Dimon's message today.
Let me just jump in and just say that just yesterday, I mean, it's a very fluid situation, right? Because Trump was saying 60% on China. Now he's saying 10%. So we got to be flexible in terms of what we're hearing coming out of Washington.
Well, I mean, what he says, what he does, we've already learned our lesson sort
Correct.
of about that. So
Yes,
I
right.
got that.
Good.
Even Jamie Dimon knows, right? It's like in terms of tariffs, it's like, get over it, right?
Yeah.
I guess we'll just deal with it.
We'll deal with it.
And it's not going to derail, though, the prospects of this market.
I think this market's going to continue to be driven by earnings, and I think we are seeing productivity improving, continuing to improve. I think it's been doing it for quite some time. We're back kind of to normal productivity growth. I think we're going to see it possibly double to 4% by the end of the decade. You know, I still think we're looking at a roaring 2020s kind of scenario with technology boosting productivity, which in turn means record profit margins. And I think S&P 500 earnings will be up to $400 a share by 2029. So I think earnings are kind of let the force be with you. And that's certainly what we're seeing with earnings.
Again, the argument from Ed coming down to an earnings-driven growth rally in the broader equity markets versus just depending on the 10-year, the dollar, et cetera. Now, those components are important, especially after how high they got last week. But as they come down, earnings growth ultimately matters to get things up in the right direction. Again, on small caps, I agree with what Jed said in the chat. I do think that 10-year needs to get closer to 4% for a realistic rally in small caps to happen. I also think it's more fun to own Google and Amazon just in terms of a well-being perspective, knowing that you own the best companies in the world that are going to buy back their stock, have great free cash flows, have massive catalysts in terms of AI, CapEx, et cetera, versus take a risk on a sector that is definitely undervalued compared to the S&P, but just might not have companies that are, the best companies in the world. So I think that's going to be the debate all through 2025. Is it going to be small caps? Is it going to be large caps? Or are we going to have a blistering green rally this year where everything goes up like 2024? Maybe that will be the case. Maybe it will not be the case. Does the Mint know that U.S. Steel is letter X? Yes, I know that. Okay. I didn't know about the aluminum, but I did know U.S. Steel was ticker symbol X. Okay, so a lot of people are asking as well, how does Palantir benefit from the Stargate stuff? And there were some people that were mad that Sam Altman or Oracle or Trump didn't mention Palantir yesterday. I think it's a narrow way of looking at what's happening here. We talked about this in the morning. Stargate is investment into AI infrastructure. AI infrastructure is to train GPUs to make better models, for those models to be used in different use cases. FSD is one of the use cases. Robotics is another use case. And then enterprise software, as Dan Ives talked about today, is a massive use case. Boston Consulting Group imagines that in the next, next 15 years, so we're talking about 20 at the end of the 2030s roundabout, AI in the enterprise should be a $4 trillion market. Now, that may be true, that may not be true, but I've seen other bullish studies of this idea that enterprise software will be unlocking $4 trillion of value. And out of that $4 trillion of value that gets unlocked, something like a Foundry and AIP needs to be at the center of it. And in order for it to be at the center of it, you need some of the most advanced models in the world, aka you need demand for more GPUs and training of those models. That's why I think the street, if it wasn't the headset contract news today that pumped Palantir up 5%, it might just be this idea that Palantir is going to be the AI software winner. And realistically, I think the street's expecting 30 to 35% guidance for growth. Really, I think they would want 35 to 40%, but they would be okay if we come in at 30 to 35. To sort of capitalize on this idea that if NVIDIA is going to catch a bid, if TSM is going to catch a bid, if all of this software infrastructure is going to be used, Microsoft Satya Nadella today said that he doesn't know if the $500 billion is going to be available for CapEx spend, but he said, and I quote, "I'm good for my 80 billion," which is the most gangster thing to say ever. I'm good for my 80 billion. If we know all that money's coming into the space, the market's assuming there's going to be demand for AI software, which is where you get Palantir. So we're going to see. We're going to see in the next 11 days, once we get earnings, what ends up happening with their guidance as well. We're in a new space race, folks. The AI race is only just heating up. I would agree. All right, DFS, let's check their earnings. We should have their numbers by now. Discover Financial, I don't have their numbers here. Let me check somewhere else. They're up 1% after hours. It looks like it's a good beat. Let me pull this up right here. Discover Financial CEO Q4 results capped off a successful 2024 as loan growth, margin expansion, and credit improvement led to strong financial performance. Fourth quarter net income of $1.3 billion. Full year net income of $4.5 billion. Board of directors declares semi-annual dividend for preferred stock and quarterly dividend for common stock. He wrote right here that it was a transformative year for our business as we announced our pending merger with Capital One, exited student lending, and enhanced our risk management and compliance programs. These actions position us well for the future. That stock right here up 1% after hours. Will Palantir miss after hours? I have no idea, or not today, but I mean for earnings, will they miss earnings? I have no idea. They might miss on EPS, but at this point, I think the street has hopefully priced it in. If not, we're going to see. There will be some SARS issues that will have an impact on EPS. It's just going to be a question of if Palantir can outgrow those, maybe buy back some shares, make it not that big of a deal, or if the street priced it in and Palantir doesn't have to worry too much about the idea of stock-based comp being a negative headline for them going into earnings. Discover's up 3%, folks. Wow. It was up 4% in the day, 7%. 7%, not bad. Another financial that is crushing it. SLG just reported. I did not know SLG was reporting today. SLG is up 1.29%. Let me see if I can get those numbers. This is a stock that Steve has loved for a very long time. I didn't see in my calendar that SLG was reporting today. It looks like they did. First of all, they signed a 93,000 square foot expansion lease with IBM at 1 Madison Avenue. So that's a big deal they got with IBM. It looks like people are coming back into the office. Headline numbers, I don't have that yet, but I'll be trying to get that in a second. But Street likes it. That's up 1%, a little bit right here after hours. How much does Palantir get if it gets a $22 billion deal? I have no idea. Again, Bloomberg said that's the headline amount that would be under the deal. It might be $1 billion, might be like 200 million. I mean, no one has any clue. And again, that's still a rumor. It's not confirmed that there is this $22 billion contract. That's just what Bloomberg's reporting. But it would not be anywhere near 22 billion. You know, it's like not all that money would go to them. But whatever they get from it, even if they, get $10 million, the fact is that if their product is being used from a military perspective with AR, VR, that is a sticky moat to be able to get that type of product in, because the street really wasn't, or not the street, but the military, from a lot of reports, was not happy with Microsoft's product, AR. And there might be someone that can deliver a much better product, potentially like a Palantir. And that's why it seems like that bid is going on at least today. What other earnings did we have? Kinder Morgan, let's get a quick update on that. We looked at their numbers already, but let's just get that coverage and then we'll keep going.
Adjusted, that's a penny light. Revenue was $3.99 billion versus estimates of $4.18 billion. Morgan.
Well, we've got much more after-hours action on the way, including earnings results from Luna.
Okay, so not that crazy. We looked at those numbers already. We do have the Alcoa numbers. Let's take a look at that coverage real quick for the company that I found out about today for the first time. And then we'll get something else here.
EPS of $1.04 per share adjusted. That was versus estimates of 97 cents per share. Revenue of $3.49 billion. That was better than expectations. It was up 20% sequentially. Adjusted net income up 104% sequentially. Alcoa citing, quote, significant improvements in financial performance on continued strength in alumina and aluminum pricing and considerable advances in operational stability. Now, for 2025, Alcoa expecting total alumina segment production to decrease from 2024. That's due to the curtailment of a refinery. Alumina shipments are going to be similar to 2024 aluminum production, expected to increase due to smelter restarts, and shipments are going to range between 2.6 and 2.8 million metric tons. Now, Alcoa's CEO, Bill Oplinger, will join us in just a few moments to break down the quarter and his expectations for 2025. But if we take
So that stock with a double beat, not bad at all. Salesforce just announced plans to invest $500 million in Argentina over the next 5 years. Okay, there you go. Salesforce and Argentina are going to be collaborating. A lot of people in the tech industry are fans of Milei. By the way, Argentina just had their first surplus in a while. Let me pull that up real quick. That happened, I think, yesterday. We got that news about Argentina having their first surplus in a very long time. Milei's been pretty cutthroat with cutting costs and liberating the country from a capitalism perspective. Yeah, first time in over 14 years For the first time in 14 years, Argentina's money has gone into a surplus, meaning that during the past year, the government earned more revenue than it spent, helping to reduce the national debt. According to the government, the budget surplus amounted to about $1.7 billion, equivalent to 0.3% of the GDP. Not bad. Not bad at all. Matthias says earnings still looking pretty good across the board. Let's keep the trend going. Yeah, we looked at it today. 11% of companies have reported in the S&P 500, 53 out of 500, and 75% of them have beat on the top and the bottom line. I mean, that's looking very similar to Q3 earnings in 2024. And obviously Q1 2025 is where that trend has to really continue for this to get more momentum. But if it can continue, then we're not going to get too much fear from the market in terms of if companies can actually meaningfully live up to some of the earnings growth that we're seeing right now. Let's talk about this Ferrari thing. A lot of you guys have been asking me about this. So Palantir is not a Ferrari partner anymore. They did just do a collab with one of the Ferrari dudes, Charles Leclerc. I found out about who he was because of Palantir. I know a lot of you guys are going to hate me for this, but I don't keep up with this stuff with like racing and Ferrari, and I don't even know how to say Sakuda Ferrari. I don't even know how to say that name. But the point is, Palantir is not going to be a partner with them anymore. Their logo is not going to be on the Ferrari jersey. Now, some of you guys have been pretty upset about this. My take on this, I think, is this is my take. I think it's pretty reasonable. I don't care that Palantir is not sponsoring Ferrari, because I don't think you sell software through a jersey patch. Like I don't like, I know people think the brand affinity of it is cool, but I really doubt Palantir was getting a ton of more people that were saying, hey, can you sign us up to a boot camp, because they saw a tiny Palantir logo in the corner of someone's jersey, you know? So to me, I've never been a fan of this. And as much as I love Robinhood, I'm not a fan of them sponsoring being sponsored in the NBA and being on the Miami Heat jersey. Like, that's cool, I guess. But I personally am not, and they know more about their marketing than me, right? But in general, I've never been a fan of sponsoring athletes or celebrities, because I just feel like if it's not a real consumer product that like really resonates with the demographic that's consuming the content that the logo is being put against, it's not that exciting, right? So to me, I don't know. I've never been like an enterprise, even on Robinhood, it does make more sense because consumers might see that logo and they might, think, what is Robinhood? But no one's seeing a Palantir logo in a Ferrari race and then going to talk to their CIO and saying, we have to go set up a deal with Palantir. I feel like there is a better use of their marketing dollars. So to me, I don't know. I don't think it's that big of a deal. What about a Palantir Arena? A Palantir Arena would be cool, just like SoFi Stadium. I am a fan of, because literally it's called SoFi Stadium. But that would require enough people caring about Palantir if it's an arena name, which again, most of these arena names are consumer companies. Pepsi Arena, American Airlines Arena, like these are household brand names. SoFi wanting to become a consumer bank for, the majority of people in the United States. That makes sense to me. Palantir Arena, you got to ask yourself, how many people are going to look up what Palantir is, and then from a consumer perspective, when it's not a consumer product, then decide that their company, if they even work in a company where they can evangelize something like a Palantir, to get into a boot camp. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It never made a lot of sense to me. So I think for something like a SoFi or Robinhood, even though I'm not a big fan of it, I think it makes more sense because it's a consumer product at the end of the day. But for a B2B enterprise company, I don't know. I've never. So the Ferrari thing in general, I don't think it's a big deal. Like, it was a cool collaboration. It happened. I think Ferrari's still a Palantir client, but even if they don't sponsor them, I don't think it makes that much of an impact on the top line growth. Amit, the point is for brand recognition, not to generate sales, a way to further legitimize Palantir as a tech leader. See, I just disagree with that. Palantir did not have the biggest logo on the dude's chest. It was a small little patch in the corner of his arm. And I'm just like, who's seeing that brand? Let's be honest. Who's actually seeing that brand and recognizing, oh, Palantir? I think there's other ways for Palantir to get brand recognition. There's a lot of other ways that are probably more cost effective than being a tiny logo on an athlete's arm. Like, the video they did with him was amazing. And I feel like they should spend all the money pumping up that video to get like 10 million views or whatever. Like, that makes more sense to me than paying Ferrari $10 million and then having that little logo in his corner. I just think it's a totally different audience. It's just a totally different audience at the end of the day. But then again, I don't think it matters. Like, this was not one of those. Palantir really doesn't do advertising like that. They've done Wall Street Journal, New York Times, but when it comes to like being endorsed by a celebrity, they're not really tied to celebrity culture. I think what they do with boot camps is a lot more effective at the end of the day. Bitcoin right here, 104,000. MicroStrategy, let's take a look at that. That stock was down 3% on the day after pumping to 400 yesterday. Bitcoin holding 104 really nicely. I mean, it's kind of normalizing right above that 101,000 level after being stuck in the 90s last week. I mean, last week on Monday it was at 89,000. So the fact that it's here is pretty nice. Robinhood after hours, 49.85, down about 0.65%. Did close at 50. Netflix down a little bit, and then the Q's down 0.10% as well. And as Drago says, we are at 77. We are fine. This is the other thing, bro. People were freaking. You know what? I think people are getting antsy. People are freaking out about this Ferrari thing for Palantir. People are freaking out about Alex Karp or Palantir not being mentioned at the freaking Stargate conference. And then people are also mad that no one from Palantir was at the inauguration. And I think the reason people are so antsy is because we haven't gotten a press release in basically a month. And that's why everyone's like, kind of just on the edge of their seat, which I get it. It's fair. I just think Palantir has a lot of stuff cooking up, and, eventually we're going to see a lot more progress going into the year. And realistically, I don't care about the press releases. I don't care about announcements. I just care about, do they guide for 35% growth? Because if they do that, I think no one's really going to care about anything else. It's now a show me versus tell me story for Palantir, because the street has already given them the valuation on the idea that Palantir will put up the growth, and now they just have to put up the growth. And no amount of press releases are really going to overcompensate for just long-term growth guidance on Palantir. Also, Karp's got a book coming out, bro. That book is going to be a ton of marketing for Palantir. They're probably trying to get everything together for him to really launch that book successfully. But I think that's going to also create a ton of media coverage as well. Mitt wearing his Palantir hat on YouTube does more for the brand than Ferrari. Yeah, dude. I mean, I've never been a fan of these sports partnerships. Maybe it's because I don't watch TV enough and I don't watch sports enough. So take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. I don't watch sports enough, so I'm not influenced by that type of marketing. I'm just thinking of it logically. Do people that watch Ferrari, are they going to see a little logo, and are they going to have so much affinity for the brand if they even think that logo means Palantir? And they're going to search up Palantir. They're going to find out what Palantir is. And then when they find out it's this B2B enterprise AI company, how many of those people are going to be like, yeah, I need to go get some Palantir? How many people are even in a position where they can talk to their C-suites inside of the company that are going to have to talk to Palantir to get a deal done, to be able to make that deal possible? And from that perspective, I don't know. I don't see it as easily as other people that are excited for it. Okay, let's get an update on the broadening of the market. And again, this idea around where we are in the rotation trade.
Well, look, valuation is a pressure point, right? And valuations are not an end-all, be-all, but I do think it's going to be difficult to really get a whole lot of multiple expansion out of this market going.
Oh, we got a headline real quick. CNN to lay off hundreds of employees as post-inauguration transformation begins. Oh my, is CNBC transforming? Yeah, that headline 18 minutes ago. Let's read this real quick. CNN is planning to lay off hundreds of employees this week. NBC News is also planning layoffs. Newsrooms around the U.S. are reorganizing around digital audiences as fewer people watch cable and broadcast news. Wow. This whole Elon, you are the media now, is kind of becoming real if these layoffs are going to be a thing. Warner Brothers Discovery CNN plans to lay off hundreds of employees Thursday as it refocuses the business around a global digital audience. The layoffs come as CNN is rearranging its linear TV lineup and building out digital subscription products. Now, CNN tried that in the past with CNN Plus. That did not work. The cuts will help CNN lower production costs and consolidate teams, said the person who spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss non-public changes. Certain shows that are produced in New York or Washington may move to Atlanta, where production can be done more cheaply. For the most part, the job cuts won't affect CNN's most recognizable names. These are the Anderson Coopers of the world. They have about 3,500 employees. During a town hall meeting this month, CNN CEO Mark Thompson said the media company has received an investment of more than $70 million from Warner Brothers. Part of the investment will go towards hiring employees in areas where CNN sees potential growth avenues. Wow. So the Trump victory is getting them to totally reimagine. And it makes sense because, if their coverage of Trump is not going to be received like it was received in 2016, where their headlines were going through the roof because a lot of people just were not fans of Trump, if that vibe shift is different and people don't trust CNN for their interpretations and content and perspectives on what's going on in America, then people are just not going to consume CNN. People are going to pick their favorite YouTuber or their favorite independent content creator to get some of those more balanced perspectives. That is kind of wild, bro. It's almost like them acknowledging that, hey, we cannot compete in this marketplace anymore because the audience is not there that cares about us. And really, that's what it takes to get legacy media to collapse. It's going to be hard to get them to like not exist anymore because they're legacy media. They have the resources, they own a lot of the radio stations, etc. So they still have a stranglehold on people's attention. But if people just stop trusting what they're getting from those sources, Fox, CNN, MSNBC, all of them being legacy media, if you don't have an audience, it's very difficult for them to be able to meaningfully monetize that business
going forward. Now, that doesn't mean multiples necessarily need to collapse, but I do have a hard time making the math work too much better than that 6,600, and frankly, even a little bit lower than that when I'm looking purely at my valuation model. I can get to those kinds of numbers and even a little bit higher on other models, but valuation is a problem.
What do you think, Adam? On a day where Jamie Dimon says of the market, I think asset prices are kind of inflated by any measure. What do you think?
Well, he did say that 30 and 50% ago. I mean, right? I mean, he hated the market the last 2 years.
He talked about hurricanes and
no,
things
right?
like
I've been saying we're all right, we're all wrong.
Been a little sour.
But his stock's been a monster relative to what he himself thought.
But is that more relevant today than anything he would have said then? I mean, we have, if you look at the market multiple, we're at what, 22 times forward on the S&P. The 10-year average is 18.3.
As usual, what Lori says is totally sensible. History dictates valuations at the upper end of the range. It's hard to sketch out multiple expansion. I think the bull case has less juice to it than it did a year ago because you don't have the Fed all in front of you. You may be getting closer to the end of that. We'll see. You don't have as much maybe in the form of fiscal stimulus from the U.S. with excess spending. We'll see. The China bull case seems less juicy. But you have two kind of still pretty bullish things out there. One is M&A. And you saw in December, and you've seen even this month, a lot of announcements on deals. Every lawyer and banker I know is busy. And that could create some valuation premium in certain parts of the market that could prop up, some lower valuations. And two is the AI stuff. And what I mean by that is not just whatever these headline numbers is and what they actually mean to translate to corporates, which is not necessarily the same thing, but just proof cases on productivity on the earnings front. Mm-hmm. If we get some of those, then the reason we all know the market probably isn't going to collapse is because we're not paying for 25 earnings or even 26. We're dreaming that there's something that's going to keep this going to 28, 29, 30 as we continue to get productivity from the biggest 1, 2, 300 companies. So we know today's valuation is high, but we don't know. We will debate, I guess, and we'll find out is it expensive on 28 or 29 earnings and how anticipatory we should be. But I took overtime from Steph, so I feel like I'm talking. Plenty of time. All right, good. Sorry.
Yeah,
all right. No, I was excited, but maybe.
Oh.
Well, yeah.
What do you think?
Look, I think we have better than expected growth in terms of GDP. We've got good jobs, employment, wages are okay. You mentioned, Adam, productivity. That's going to help inflation. And at the same time, if any of the Trump policies work the way we think they will, then you're going to have lower commodity costs, maybe on the energy side, of course, as they drill, baby, drill. So I think you have better growth, a little bit less inflation. Maybe it stays firm, but that's okay because that leads to better than expected earnings. Right now, earnings are running at about 11% growth year over year. And what people are not talking about, and Scott, we talked about this actually at halftime this week, is that margins and margin expansion. I think it's
Stephanie's right about this. If we expand those margins, you don't need top line revenue growth because EPS will grow. And I mean, that's something I want to watch out for all the mega caps, particularly Amazon with their operating margins. If they can get margins to go up because of AI, productivity, cost efficiencies, whatever the reason is, these stocks are going higher because earnings will reflect more growth.
underappreciated. I think you could see record margins this year, because of restructurings and productivity and pricing power. And companies have been getting more lean and more efficient. And so you add it all up. And I actually think beginning of the year, I didn't think we were going to see 15% earnings growth. And I actually think that there's a very good shot that we will. And you do not need multiple expansion if you have earnings actually going higher.
That's exactly where I was going to go as you were talking, because you need earnings growth to be that good. Mm-hmm. Do you not? Because you already have a full multiple. How much more expansion can you possibly get on the market multiple? The real question is, can you get to your 15%, if not more.
100%. You're going to get it in technology. There's no question in my mind about that. AI, cyber, we talk about all the trends and the themes. Yes. But I think you're also seeing financials. We talk about the earnings growth and the surprises from 17 of the big banks over the last week and a half, and it's growing 26% year over year in financials. I think that you're going to see better than expected results in consumer discretionary, especially on the services side. So I think about the market overall, and so far this year, I've been surprised with the broadening out. So tech and comm services is running up about 2 to 3% year to date, 3 to 4% after today. But financials are up 6%, industrials are up 8%, energy is up 8%. So to me, the broadening out can continue because you're going to see better earnings growth from these other sectors as well.
It's a fair point. I think it's a fair point. I think there's going to be, and we've already seen it so far, 11% of the companies that are reporting are showing a 75% of them are beating, and there's an 8.9% on average surprise in terms of expectations on earnings, which to me is relatively bullish for the broader tech sector and energy sector, and obviously financial sector that has performed so far. Big tech next week is going to be determining the rest of where that goes. We have a new Rocket Lab launch contract for wildfire detection. Okay, now I need to care about this stuff since I own Rocket Lab. So every time you guys give me a Rocket Lab headline, it needs to be given a lot more time because I'm definitely going to be buying this dip. There's just no way 28.91 was the bottom on Rocket Lab, bro. There's no way. So now I need to get ready to buy the dip whenever it's the dip. Rocket Lab to launch global wildfire detection and monitoring mission for Aurora Tech. Rocket Lab, a global leader in launch services and space systems, today announced it has signed a contract for a responsive launch on Electron with Aurora Technologies, a German company developing a satellite constellation to monitor wildfires and alert first responders to danger. Okay, that sounds pretty cool. ASTS, you guys are saying, is tanking. Yeah, why is that thing down 13%? Hold on. It can't be because of Rocket Lab. That has to be something else. Voyager did file an S1 to IPO, the space company. They partnered with Palantir in the past. So we don't have a valuation on that, but they did file an S1. But why is ASTS 13% down after hours? What is going on there? Let me see. ASTS. But that Rocket Lab thing sounds cool, bro, especially with the wildfires we had in California. Like the idea that they could mitigate that via satellite technology is very, just very encouraging in terms of what they can ultimately try to resolve. Okay, we got dilution. They raised $324 million at an average price of $24.65. Convertible notes. Yep. We got some dilution. Guys, be honest in the chat. Be honest in the chat right now. Is Rocket Lab going to dilute me in the next year? Be honest. I need an actual honest answer from the Rocket Lab bulls. Are we going to get diluted or not? ASTS at the money update raised $324 million at an average price of $24.65. They have $66 million left on their dilution trajectory. Stock's down 13% on this news. Okay, it's 250-50. Let me do a poll. I see like 10 yeses, 10 nos. By the way, 86% of you said you do not watch linear TV. I agree. I watch YouTube TV for the news and for CNBC to get access to business content. But in terms of like literally sitting down and watching Fox News or Anderson Cooper, like I don't tend to watch that stuff. Okay. Rocket Lab dilution in the next year. It's either a yes or no. What do you think? Do we get diluted or not? Because the day we get diluted, Rocket Lab's facing the same fate as ASTS. I mean, and it's not a space thing. It's just like a dilution thing. Anytime there's massive levels of dilution, which ASTS is a $650 billion company. So they did 5.6% dilution today. Yeah, when you get diluted by 5%, stock's going to tank. It's kind of inevitable. Wow, 70% of you say yes, huh? So it looks like I should be expecting some diluting on Rocket Lab. Jet says, I welcome that day. More shares. That's speaking like a true bull, bro. Speaking like a true bull. He's like, let's do it. Dilute. I'll buy some more shares. What is Rocket Lab's float? It's only like 400 million shares, right? Rocket Lab, 494 million shares. Where is their short float? How shorted is this company? Rocket Lab short. As of 12/31, they have a 14% short float. Holy crap, dude. This is worse than SoFi. And it's not been good for the shorts this year. I mean, either maybe that 30% run up yesterday was them covering. Do you think it was kind of a short squeeze? Because 30% on a Citibank upgrade is kind of insane, bro. 30% on Citibank saying, hey, it's not, instead of 25, we think it'll be 35. I mean, I know Trump pumped it with the whole Conquer Mars space stuff, but that's a hell of a move. Maybe it was some shorts covering. 15%, bro. I didn't know it was 15% short. SoFi is 12% short right now. Take a look at CleanSpark short float. I think that's also like 20%, right? CleanSpark 26%. Yeah, that's not the best. Again, the Bitcoin miners have not been my taste over the past year. It's just and so far, look, Bitcoin's pumping above 100,000, and the Bitcoin miners still. I mean, they're stuck, bro. Like they're just stuck. CleanSpark's stuck at 11. Marathon's stuck at 7. Like these companies don't move on Bitcoin news, and they move a little bit, and then they just get hit back down. It's like the capitalization off of all this Bitcoin momentum is not happening in the mining space, unless you get some really dramatic move, which Bitcoin just hasn't had. It's had it from a year ago, but the miners are also at a different situation now from 1 year ago. Guys, I can't call Matt. He has a job. He can't just call. He was on the show last week, though. He was on the show, and he talked a lot. Him and Steve went at it a little bit. Oh, I should text Steve that I bought Rocket Lab, because Steve was kind of bearish Rocket Lab. Let me see. Let me call Steve. Let's see if Steve can pick up right now. Steve will be happy at the other stuff I bought today. Let's see if he picks up. IRSG is next week. That earnings is next week. That's a robotics surgical company. That's going to be next week. Steve, you're on the market close. What's up?
I mean, I'm actually on my seat, but okay.
I hate you so much, bro. I hate you so much. But
I mean, you can't tell me that I'm on something when I'm actually on something.
You know, this is why at the meetup everyone said Steve is their favorite guest.
Yeah, I don't believe that, but thank you.
Dude, everyone said we love Steve. For those that don't know, I actually FaceTimed Steve, so you got to say hi to some of them, but they love you a lot.
Can I just tell you that it is so cold out? Like, it's crazy.
It's freezing. It is freezing.
And I park outside at work, and it's just like, oh my God, I am freezing right now.
Yeah, it is very, very cold. It was a little bit better today, but I think New York is worse than New Jersey.
No, dude, it was 17 degrees this morning.
It was 6 degrees last night.
Like,
yeah, it's 19 degrees right now.
Just horrible.
Okay, well, I want to tell you about some buys I did today.
Okay, what did you buy today? You bought some rainbow cookies?
No, but they are good because someone bought it for me.
I told you they're good.
So shout out to BSOB for getting me those cookies. They were great. But no, first of all, I want to tell you what I bought, and then I want to get your thoughts on this whole Stargate stuff that happened yesterday, because 500 billion is a lot of money. But I bought a lot of stuff today. So I bought SoFi, 100 shares. Did you guys hear that? Does he not like SoFi or something? Dude, he just hung up on me. You're back.
Yeah, I don't know. You hung up on me.
No, that was you. You hung up on me. But okay, so I want you to grade my buys and what you think. Okay, I bought SoFi 100 shares at 17.44.
I don't know about that one, but
okay. How are you not bullish SoFi?
Go on. Let's hear the rest of them.
Dude, you have like 17 articles saying this thing's gonna go to 25. Now you're like, I don't know about that. Like, come on, bro. Okay.
I mean, you couldn't have bought it freaking 6 or 8. Like, yeah, buy it here.
No, I did. I bought options and they're up 500%. I'm happy, but just buying some shares as well. Okay.
All right, go on.
I bought 5 shares of Meta. You like that one?
Sorry, I'm yawning. Yeah. I mean, obviously, I like that.
Okay, 625. I bought it at Meta. What else did I buy? I bought 10 shares of Tesla at 422. You like that one?
Not really, but go on.
You are such a Tesla hater, bro. I bought.
How can I be a Tesla hater if I'm a shareholder?
No, dude, you're a Tesla hater. You still think of it as a car
Not
company.
a Tesla hater.
I bought 100 shares of Hoodie at $50.51.
You're crazy, but okay, go
But
on.
it's Hoodie. I love Hoodie.
Yeah, I get that. I get that you love Hoodie, but I mean, once again, and I'm not going to say what I said on SoFi because I know that you invested in Hood prior and did well on it. But I mean, my thing is, how much more room is there to run right now?
Steve, I think this is the difference between you and I, and it's something I struggled with. I think phenomenal companies, you buy into the strength.
Okay, Charlie Munger.
Charlie Munger used to say that? I didn't know he used to say that, but no, but it's true, dude. It's true.
He's the one that talked Warren Buffett out of looking for cigar butts, and you pay a premium for good companies. And I'm not saying you shouldn't pay a premium for good companies.
But it's not a premium. Robinhood's cheap. Like I'm not going to go through the whole thesis because you don't care about
cheap.
it. But it's
Robinhood's cheap. Okay, cool.
Yeah, all right, we'll see on the earnings growth, dude. If they grow 30% this year, 50 is cheap. 50 is cheap.
All right.
Okay, the last buy that I bought today. Okay, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
I bought 100 shares.
I mean, I'm on my seat, so I can't really fall down. So go ahead.
About 100 shares. What are you outside? Why do we hear the police?
Dude, because it's New York City. What do you want me to tell you?
Can you close the window?
The windows are closed. It's freezing out.
Why are the police like, dude? Like this? That's why I'm not living in New York, bro. I bought 100 shares of. Wait, take a guess.
SMCI.
Actually, no. That is another thing. I bought 5 contracts for SMCI for $50 January 2027. 5 leaps.
Okay.
Do you like that?
I do.
How much?
That could be your best buy right now.
Okay, the reason I bought it is because I'm not going to let you, Matt, and Chris make a ton of money on
That's
this.
such a bad reason to buy it.
No, that is dude.
That's the worst reason to buy it.
Dude, February 4th, when earnings come out and this shit goes to fucking 45, 47, pumps 10, 15%, I am not going to be the one guy in the group chat that has to hear your shit for the next month. Like, I told you about SMCI, bro. I tried to tell you. Like,
that's not a good reason. Just because we bought it doesn't mean you should.
I would rather lose $5,000 and blame you three and have no accountability versus see you guys brag about being up on SMCI. That's my take.
One, you can't blame us for something you did.
Oh, I absolutely can.
Let's be very clear about that.
No, let's be very clear. You guys will get the blame. Even if it doesn't affect you, I'll at least be able to say it and feel better about myself.
I mean, you can say whatever you want. It's not relevant because we're not making you do anything.
I know, but still, the perception is going to be you guys are the ones. So I'm just kidding with you. But and then here's what I actually bought, okay? This is the big one. Bought 100 shares of Rocket Lab.
Isn't that a mortgage company?
I bought 100 shares of RKLB at $28.91.
Okay.
What do you think?
I mean, I don't know. Matt was trying to convince me, and I thought it was one of the craziest ideas ever, and I was 100% wrong. I'll probably be wrong again on it. I don't know. I don't get it. So,
out of all of those buys, the chat was so happy that I finally, and I was the sucker who bought it after a 30% run, so I'm sure I'm gonna have to DCA. But yeah, we're in the lab of rockets, and I would like to formally invite you into the club now that I'm in the club. And look, they issued a press release just now, 20 minutes ago, about satellites with wildfires. I mean, it's some cool shit. So I think you should join us.
I'm gonna make you a promise.
Okay.
I'm never gonna be a shareholder of Rocket
Lab. Dude, why do you hate this company so much?
I don't hate the company. I just don't. The valuation's crazy. I don't see the future in it, and it's not for me.
Rocket Lab
going to do well.
Rocket Lab is outperforming the entire market at 18% year to date.
Cool.
Dude, over the past year, it's up 500%. You don't think that's worth looking at? Up 500%?
No, I don't know. No.
All right. Well, I'm in the lab of rocket.
Good. Listen, I hope you make a lot of money on it.
So, okay, let's actually talk about what happened yesterday, because I did buy NVIDIA, Amazon, Google yesterday as well. Stargate, when you heard 500 billion, what was your raw reaction, and what do you think it means for a lot of the AI stocks right now?
All right, so before we get into that, I'm going to say that Anybody who is not excited about this is crazy. I want them to succeed so bad because if they can really eradicate cancer, that's going to be one of the best things for the human race. And I am so happy and so bullish on this. And you know what? Enough with these I'm not going to say. I'm not going to say some of this stuff that could get me in trouble. I'm just very happy that they are really going to utilize every piece of technology now to try to synthesize cures, and not just a global cure, but dedicated cures based on individualized cancer scenarios. This is so exciting, and it cannot happen soon enough. I cannot be more excited about this.
So $500 billion over the next 4 years. A lot of that AI infrastructure obviously is going to be great for drug discovery, pharmaceuticals, cancer, etc. $100 billion will be deployed immediately, is what OpenAI said.
Yep.
What does that scream for CapEx spend, and what winners do you think emerge from this?
Well, I mean, it's pretty crazy that they're building 20 data centers that nobody knew about. And it's not like, oh, we're getting the plans together. Larry Ellison was pretty clear that they're already in construction.
Yeah. Yep.
So pretty crazy that they kept a lid on that. And look, I mean, it's very bullish for NVIDIA. NVIDIA's once again going to be the big winner. And I said it before all this hype. I said it before Microsoft made their announcement. NVIDIA's going to 200. I don't know when, but it's going to 200. And it has the potential to be the first $5 trillion company.
I am beginning to agree with the thesis because, look, if they're actually going to put $500 billion into data centers, which 30% of it goes to NVIDIA, maybe even if 15%, I mean, like, it's just increased earnings growth that makes this less cyclical.
Let me spell it out for you. There in the net, and I'm not saying that it's going to be like this forever, because at some point, NVIDIA's margin is going to be somebody else's revenue. That's the way that these companies are going to look at it, where they're going to try to chip away from the king to squeeze out alpha. But until that happens, NVIDIA is the long-term winner, and nobody is coming up with chips better than Blackwell or even close to Blackwell anytime soon. So all the infrastructure spend that happens now goes to NVIDIA, and there's nothing anybody can do about it.
I think it's something that everyone who's in the markets is starting to come to a realization too, because like small caps are NVIDIA. Small caps are, you could argue, undervalued. And then you see 500 billion, you're like, wait a second, it's NVIDIA.
No, don't even say small caps and NVIDIA in the same sentence, okay? Come on. It's not okay.
I think the rest of the market's starting to agree with that to an extent.
Like that's something crazy to even speculate about. Like, it's ridiculous. It's crazy talk. It's crazy talk.
What would be the best bear case you could come up for NVIDIA right now to push back against your thesis?
CapEx spend slows. AMD comes out with a chip that's better than Blackwell.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Two things that are not happening.
Dude, Nadella, he said the most gangster thing today.
Somebody sent it to me. I saw it. I don't know, but my 80 billion is good. I saw it.
Yeah, he was like, they're like, where do you think they're getting the 500 billion from? Nadella's like, I don't know, but I'm good for my 80 billion.
Right.
Like, that's what you say when you're investing in like a startup. Like, are you good for the money? Yeah, I'm good for my 25. You know, it's like, I'm good for my 80 billion, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not slowing down.
No. And the way he said it, it's not slowing down. And at the end of the day, NVIDIA is in a position where they take most/everything. Like, this is just, it is absolutely crazy what is going on.
Google and Amazon, do you think they benefit from this as well?
Yeah, but not nearly as much. Give me 1 sec. Hold on.
Yeah, you're good. You guys are fighting about Rocket Lab in the chat, dude. Rocket Lab is going to be a debate all of 2025. This is going to be, I can just tell, this is going to be a debate for the next year around this particular name. It either pulls a Palantir
I'm back.
or it gets hit.
Yeah. I think both of them are going to do well in this environment because we're going to need more cloud services, and there's no one dominant player. I mean, Amazon, Azure, and Alphabet have 70-something% of the market, 76% or so. So, I mean, they're all going to do well.
If you had to go long one stock for the next couple of years, would it be Nvidia? Like the next 3-4 years? Is that the name
No.
you would? What would it be?
No. And you know why? I am not smart enough to be able to predict when this cycle ends. And I think after 1.5 to 2 years, it's going to start getting shaky because you could see revenue decline as CapEx spend declines because these companies actually have to monetize all the money they put into this. So the build out would become a maintenance cycle. And I don't know if that happens in 2 years or 5 years. So while NVIDIA has the most potential out of any company, if you're talking long term, it's Amazon.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. That's fair. We did a poll the other day, and most people picked Amazon over NVIDIA as well. But you think in the next 2 years, the CapEx cycle?
Oh, NVIDIA by far. NVIDIA by far in the next 1 to 2 years, no question.
And that's also, I'm assuming, the SMCI thesis for you. It's piggybacking off NVIDIA, essentially.
Yeah, the SMCI thesis is a derivative off of NVIDIA because if they're recognizing this much growth in revenue and this huge scale build out, you have to think that these other companies that are supportive companies are going to do well. And if this accounting thing ends up being a nothing burger, this thing's going to skyrocket because right now it's trading at like 12 times earnings with crazy growth.
Yeah.
I think they're expecting something like 60% revenue growth this year or something. Like it's crazy.
On SMCI or NVIDIA?
SMCI.
Yeah, that problem is it's just misleading because they have 11% gross margins. So it's not like
I'm just saying they don't have to be a high margin business. Look at what the facts are. The facts are it was over 100. The facts are that it has a huge meme community around it and a huge.
Oh, so you bought a meme stock? That's what you're saying?
No, just hold on. It's part of the analysis. There is a lot. It's a volume-based stock that people could potentially start bidding up if this goes right. And we're going to find out real quick if this accounting thing goes right or not. And they're generating real money with real profits off of real products that are in demand. So, I mean, it's an interesting story.
All right. Well, I think all of us put money in it that we can afford to lose, I guess. So,
yeah, I mean, listen, if it goes down 50%, it doesn't make a difference to me. I would like for it to go up, but I mean, I didn't put a lot of money into it. So if it goes down, it's a gamble that didn't play out.
Yeah, as someone says right here, if this accounting thing is bogus, SMCI goes to 50 pretty quickly. I agree.
Pretty quickly, yeah.
That's why I bought the $50 leap because I'm like, all right, I should be in the money pretty soon if this thing actually is correct. But if the accounting thing is not bogus, who knows at that point?
Yeah, nobody knows. Like, we're going to find out. I think on February 4th, we're going to find out. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens.
Palantir was up 5%. You seem super bullish about this AI CapEx build out. Looks like the market is giving Palantir some love off software being a derivative of all that demand. Does that make sense to you?
Sure, why not? Palantir 250.
Okay, Steve. Can we have a serious conversation about Palantir ever?
I'm being very serious. I was straight faced when I said that.
No, you don't. You're laughing inside. Like I can tell.
I'm not laughing inside.
No, you're probably smiling right now on the low. I can already feel it. I can sense it.
No, I'm not.
I can literally sense your smile cheek to cheek, bro. I can sense it. You're smiling right now. That's why you're not saying anything because you don't want to say anything because then it'll be very obvious that you're smiling. But anyway, if all this CapEx demand is what you're talking about, why doesn't that mean Palantir is going to grow?
You know what? I'm not bullish enough. 325. Do I hear 350?
I don't like when we can't have a conversation about Palantir. It's not possible.
Yeah, because the valuation's crazy.
But the market's but if you believe in 500 billion of spend, are you telling me that doesn't mean more and more companies are going to need Foundry, AIP, AI enterprise software, yada, yada?
You said it, not me.
I don't know. I don't know.
Data center build out has nothing to do with Palantir.
No. The point of data center build out is to train GPUs, and the point of GPUs is to get use cases. We can agree on that.
Data center build out has nothing to do with Palantir.
Okay, what does it have to do with then? You tell me.
Dude, you're Captain Palantir. Who are Palantir's customers?
No. But Steve, this is a very logical thesis. We're building data centers.
Very logical.
We're building data centers to train GPUs. The GPU training is to build better LLMs. The LLMs then need to be operational. That comes down to Palantir. Like
Palantir.
That, there's no.
Palantir is used by all the big corporations for internal stuff. Data centers are not utilizing Palantir. You know what data centers need? Server chips, network switches, firewalls, Ethernet, power. That's what data centers need.
I am not disagreeing. Obviously, data centers are not literally using Palantir, but the point of building them is to train models. And the point of the models is either for FSD, for robotics, for some use case we haven't heard about, or enterprise software. That's my point.
Okay.
I'm just saying, look, in all seriousness, I think
I'm just saying Mark Benioff is going to shock the world this quarter.
Don't tell me Salesforce is
when he announces how many AI agents there are that companies are fucking paying for. You watch.
So you'd buy Salesforce over Palantir right now?
I didn't say that. I'm just saying he's going to shock the world. People think he's bullshit. He ain't bullshit.
I mean, he's kind of being a dick to Microsoft. I don't really like that, to be honest.
Oh,
like, do you like the CEO calling Microsoft a failure? Like, I don't. Satya took the high road today and didn't really acknowledge it, but I don't know. That doesn't rub me the right way.
Well, I don't know exactly what he said, so I don't know the context of it.
He's been saying it for the past couple months. Copilot is the new Clippy, and they're a failure. He's been saying that.
I mean, have you tried Copilot?
Look, even if it is like what public CEO shits on?
I'm just asking if you tried it or not, because I have.
Okay, and what's your conclusion?
I'm certainly not using it.
So you're going to use CRM's agents more? Is that your point?
No, I'm just saying that I tried Copilot. I am now no longer trying it. It is turned off, and I don't plan on using it.
See, the internal contradiction inside of what you're saying, and you don't even realize this because you're so bullish on data centers, is the Copilot is the reason for the data center. And I hope you understand that if you're not using this AI software in your organization, this data center shit is bullshit. Like, we need actual use cases from what the data centers are building out. So you better hope Copilot starts working for some part of the economy, because otherwise, what are we training all these models for?
Oh, we're training all the models for AI.
Yeah, but what is AI, Steve? It's things like Copilot or FSD.
Terminator robots.
Okay, and that's why you should be long Tesla, but then you think Tesla. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're just running in circles here. And
did you see how many robots they're going to have this year? Supposedly.
Who, Tesla?
Yeah.
Yeah, Elon said like 5,000 or something.
Oh, no. There's a new report.
The 50,000 is next year. It's not this year.
No. They said the end of this year. There's a new report somewhere out of China about them doing, I forget how many a week. It was something like they have 30 to 50,000 by the end of this year.
Well, that's not Tesla. That's China. That's Chinese robots.
No, it was.
No, it's not, Tesla. Steve. Elon literally said 50,000 2026, 500,000 2027. That's a fact.
I thought I saw it today.
There's going to be more robots coming out of China. I agree with that. It's just, I don't know if it's coming out of Tesla this year. But look, my overall point is you're excited about CapEx and data center spend. And I think it's a good conversation because a lot of people like understand the point of CapEx and data centers, but investing in all the little players, the picks and shovels of building these data centers is great, but there needs to be a point.
The data center, Copilot doesn't have to be an overwhelming winner for data centers to continue to be built out, because data centers also have to do with cloud storage. They also have to do with AWS, Google Cloud, Azure. They also have to do with other things such as GPUs for AI, metaverse, all that.
Okay, so a couple things. Metaverse is not real. Maybe one day it'll be real. So that's not a real. It's not a real use case. Like, I'm trying to narrow down the use cases because there's not that many, and that's kind of the conundrum of.
If you were having a conversation with Zuckerberg, he would tell you it's real.
No, he would be looking at Jeff Bezos' wife's tits, and he would be saying that the metaverse is not real. Number two, if Nadella is investing $80 billion, it's because Nadella thinks more people are going to use Copilot.
And if he's investing $80 billion, What do you think's going to happen in 2 weeks on all the conference calls?
Well, I would hope
Everybody else is they're all going to increase CapEx spend.
Yeah, but again, Steve, this is a good conversation because it's important you can't increase CapEx spend without having a point of the CapEx. Like that, it's not, no one's spending 80 billion to spend 80 billion. And that's why I keep trying, like, I want you to really have an open mind about this. I get Palantir is extended. I understand the valuation, you hate it. But if the point of the CapEx is for a use case, which is either three of them, in my opinion, enterprise software, FSD, which is the most realistic one so far, or robots, then we better damn hope Palantir is scaling 40, 50%, because if they're not, what's the point of all these LLMs?
Cloud infrastructure is huge.
Yeah, but the cloud infrastructure is to handle AI workloads, aka requests from the LLM.
No, it's not just that. SaaS, so there's a lot of different applications. You got to think about big scale companies moving their servers into the cloud. It takes a lot of compute for companies to run. And all the data that they create every day, they put in the cloud, it continuously increases.
Yeah, but Steve, the AI workloads in the cloud, like curing cancer, for example, you need to train a lot of models.
Massive compute.
Yeah, but the compute is from the large language models synthesizing all the data around the cancer research to then try to come up with an answer that could potentially solve cancer. That is software. So my point is the use case of the GPU, if it's not robotics or FSD, they're not just building them to build them. Like they're building them for a reason. And if they're building them for a reason,
Palantir to zero.
If they're building them for a reason, like Salesforce, Palantir, Snowflake, Datadog, all of them should get a bid if we're getting derivative software use cases. And if we're not, then what's the point of these data centers? That's my point.
I told you the point.
No, you're saying AI, but AI is not a thing. Like we have to define what is AI. Like
it certainly is a thing.
Yeah, but see, you're avoiding it at this point.
And look, OpenAI and Oracle together may not even use Palantir. Palantir may not benefit from that. They may not benefit from that spend.
No. So if Palantir doesn't benefit from that spend, I think there's other software companies that are beating Palantir, eating their lunch, benefiting from that spend. But some software company has to benefit from that.
Somebody's going to benefit. You don't know if Oracle is going to build out their own proprietary stuff or not.
Sure, that's fine. And Oracle has Cerner Health, and they're going to do a lot of stuff there. My point is just we're not building GPUs and data centers to just look at them. We're building them to get to GPT-7, GPT-8, GPT-9. Why does Sam Altman want to get to GPT-9? Because he wants there to be use cases.
For Bitcoin. What about Bitcoin?
I think the Bitcoin use case for data centers is there, but it's not as massive as it was 5 years ago.
I certainly hope not. There's only like 1 million Bitcoin left to be mined. So.
Okay, so again, that's my point. It comes back to what is the use case of all this CapEx? I'm with you. I'm on your side. I'm saying there are use cases. I'm just saying one of those major use cases is enterprise software, and I think Palantir should benefit from all of that spend. That's my point.
We're going to see if they're going to benefit or not.
If they guide for 40% growth, someone's going to be mad on earnings, and it's not going to be me.
Why would I be mad?
Because those covered calls are not going to be in a good situation. That's all I'm going to say.
It's going to cost me money to get out of them. I'm okay with that.
I just want to say, Steve, at 63, I was telling you, don't be greedy. Get out of these covered calls.
You know what? It's all right.
I mean, look, if we tank on earnings, you'll have a good opportunity. But
listen, they better put up a 40% growth number, or I don't know if they can hold this number.
I think we need at least guidance of 32 to 35%. They don't have to get to 40 because they'll sandbag all the way up to 40. But
they need to do something. It can't be 30% is not going to cut it.
Yeah, it needs to be above 30%. I agree with that.
Yeah.
It needs to be above.
It needs to be above 30%. I don't think 30% is going to cut it.
That's fair.
We'll see. But I think that there's some interesting opportunities. And look, if SoFi kills it on Monday and this goes up and this gets to like 22 or 24, I'm going to be writing so many cover calls, and I'll end up just buying my Palantir cover calls back off of what I generate in income from SoFi.
Do you think SoFi gaps up to 20 on earnings?
I think it's a good possibility. I think it's a much different operating environment. I think that this time could be different. If there's a triple beat, we know that they hit 10 million members. We know that they're not stopping, and they just continue, even if the percentage comes down, because look, percentages come down as companies get bigger, but that doesn't mean the actual number doesn't get bigger. They could continue growing. They could start growing by 1 million members a month. I mean, there's a lot of potential here. And I think this is a very good operating environment for borrowing, for their loans. There's a lot of things. And if they come out and actually shows that they are winning RFPs, that's the biggest news we need, because that justifies giving them a tech multiple. So, yeah, I think look, if they come out with a great quarter and great guidance, and they prove that Noto's long-term trajectory of 55 cents to 80 cents in 2026 earnings is going to happen, this could be at 30 sometime in the near future.
Well, that's why I bought it today as well. I feel like Q4 should be a turning point. Compass Point, by the way, said $6 is their price target.
Yeah. Okay. Have fun with that.
Yeah, that I don't know if we get back to $6, but I think the narrative is changing. I think the narrative.
I mean, at least if you want to be bearish, at least say 10.
Yes.
I mean that's still what, a freaking 70% drop from here. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. All right, Steve. That is pretty much it. Again, I want to tell you that everyone at the meetup in New York said they love you so much.
I appreciate it.
They said you have a joke. They said you're able to be funny without being funny.
I guess so.
Or no, they said you're able to be funny without trying. That was what they said.
Are you buying anything tomorrow?
No, dude, I've spent like 60 grand this week already. I've spent a lot of money this week. Bought Amazon, Google, Meta, Nvidia, SoFi, Rocket Lab, and Hood, and SMCI this week.
You're a good role model.
So I've bought. I've deployed some cash.
Good. So I guess my theory about the market going higher is starting to come true.
Well, look, look, I'm happy we're having a bit of a bull run here, but it's 22 days into January. I think we all have to still, hold our horses on, is it a repeat of 2024?
Oh, it's going to be a repeat of 2024.
I'm on that train because a lot of the data I'm looking at around inflation feels like we're going to get there, but it is one of those things that we got to see.
What's the bear case?
No, I agree. I don't think there is one. The only one is tariffs if it really gets out of hand. But
you see what Jamie Dimon said about tariffs today?
No, what did he say?
Oh, that he said it's bullish. He said it's good for national security and people need to grow up.
Oh, really? Oh, I did see that headline. I did. Yeah. He said we can take a little bit of weakness in tariffs if we protect national security. Correct. I think that's a good point. Now the question is, the market's okay with 10%. If it becomes 25%, where does inflation go from there, or how does the market react? But I agree. Outside of Trump volatility, which is inevitable given he's Trump, I don't know what the massive bear case is.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it. I mean, I think that's bluffing. I don't think there's any shot at 2 cuts. I think it's 3 or 4. We'll see. In order for rents to come down, you got to get the Fed funds rate down significantly. And we're nowhere near a level where you're going to get people moving or refinancing. Because so many people have a loan from 2.8 to 3.8%. So it's very hard to move unless you're forced to, and go from even at the high end of 3.8% to 5.5 or 6%. It's just, the numbers don't make sense.
What do you think of the Trump meme coin?
I mean, I don't really know much about it. If he's involved with it, I don't think it's a good look. I don't know enough about it.
Because, I mean, that is an example of froth to me, but I interpret that more as, okay, yes, that's frothy, but it means there's money on the sidelines ready to even participate in that, which means there's a lot of money ready.
Money on the sidelines. Have you seen how much is in money market accounts?
Yeah, it's a lot.
It keeps going up.
Yeah.
And how about Nancy Pelosi beating like every freaking hedge fund?
Tempest AI, baby.
I'm just saying that's not normal.
Yeah.
Not normal.
All right. Well, seems like the bull trend, at least so far, is in track. Oh, Netflix too. I don't know if you saw their numbers, but crushed, bro. 19 versus 9. I mean, like, It's hard to be bearish when Netflix is putting up numbers like that as well.
I mean, I told you that it was good. It's a lot of things. They're getting football. You got WWE. I don't think people really understand how big that market is. There's a lot of things.
Did you have a WWE phase where you watched wrestling like religiously or no?
I mean, I think a lot of people did.
I had that phase when I was like 10 years old. I was big into that.
I think a lot of people did.
Yeah. So to your point, it is like people will tune into that live. Like people love the WWE. So.
Yeah, and especially now with all the digital parents watching it with their kids. I mean, I'm telling you, I don't think people realize how big that is. And now that it's off of cable TV, anybody that didn't have Netflix and are into that, they're paying for Netflix.
Yeah.
And then anybody who's a football fan is paying for Netflix because of the playoffs. So I mean, it's just I'm not surprised about that.
All right. Sounds good, Steve. Thank you for calling in. We will talk to you later this week.
I mean, you called me.
This is why people love you. This is why I hate you sometimes, but this is why people love you. So.
Well, I'm just making sure that you are saying factual things.
Okay, so let me thank myself for calling you into the show.
That's better.
Yes, because that sounds way more logical than saying thank you for calling me.
Yes.
No, technically you hung up and then you called back in, so you did call in.
No.
Gotcha.
I was just calling you back. You hung up.
No, I did not hang up. No, the whole chat saw we were like, why did no, I did not hang up. That was you. Okay. That was your New York service. That was the police coming after you or something.
Yeah, who knows?
All right, I'll talk to you later. Later. Steve is bullish. 7,000 on the S&P 500. Mark, thank you for the $20 super chat. Look at Sam Altman's remarks on AGI. We did read his super intelligence AGI essay a couple weeks ago. He published that a while back. And thank you for the super chat. Yeah, he's pretty damn bullish as well. He did tweet the other day, hey, we should like lower our expectations. AGI is not coming tomorrow. But still, he does think that AGI is not that far away and that eventually it's going to be, a very, very transformative element of a modern enterprise. So Webull is showing, did you guys see that? Webull showing Netflix 21% down. Could you imagine if that was real? It's definitely fake. That has to be a glitch on Webull right now. Look at that dude, 31% down. This is definitely a glitch, but could you imagine Netflix was down 31%? It's definitely a Webull glitch. That's not real. Let me just check to make sure, but I don't think it's down 30. Look at this. It's showing Netflix at $600, bro. Yeah, now it just went back to normal. It looks like Trump coin. Exactly. It looked like Trump coin. It got me looking up Netflix. I thought it was crashing hard. Dude, Webull and Google Finance do this the most. Robinhood actually is pretty good at not like having these glitches, but Webull and Google Finance, they glitch a lot. And Yahoo does the same. Yeah, okay. So there might be, is Robinhood doing the same? Let's see. Is Robinhood messing this up? It might be a industry thing. Netflix. No, Robinhood's okay. Robinhood's not glitching at all. Imagine that order fills. Someone had a story a while ago that they put in an order for this stock that fell 30%. And it actually filled somehow just because of the glitch, which is wild, bro. It's wild if we get Netflix at $600 a share after going to 1,000. Bill Ackman, bro. I think Bill Ackman's looking at this damn stock and he's just, everyone has those days where they sell the thing that ends up running way past what they thought it could do. But Bill Ackman was playing with big money. When you play with that with big money, you just imagine what it could have been like. Either he's not looking at it and he doesn't care and he's moved on personally, or he's looking at that thing and he's like, damn, Netflix just somehow ended up getting away. And again, to his credit, in 2022, everything was crashing and proper risk mitigation was trimming the position, especially if you thought Netflix was losing its moat. He got into Google, which did very well. It just didn't like 8x the way Netflix did from those levels. Oh yeah, that was the Berkshire thing. Yeah. Some people put in crazy orders on Berkshire Hathaway. I was live when that happened. It was down from 600,000 to 400,000 a share. It was like some crazy. Let me see if I can find that tweet. Berkshire. Let's see. Oh yeah, I got it. It was sorry, it wasn't 600 to 400,000. It was 99% down. It was down from 628,000 to $185. Yeah. And then the market orders processed on the bounce and it dropped down. Exactly. That was a wild day. Wild day. That was that. What day did that happen? That happened June 3rd. Oh, so that was like 6 months ago. That was wild, bro. That was crazy. Amit, what are your thoughts on the ARK Venture Fund? I've not been a fan of it at all. I don't like any of these venture capital ETFs at all. I just don't like the disclosures and the transparency in them. But if you really want exposure to like a SpaceX or a Discord, then they are vehicles to get exposure. I'm not a fan of trusting anyone to manage private investments. So I've never really got into them. All right, guys, I think that is it. That is it for today. We'll be back tomorrow on the market open. Exciting after hours. We had Kinder Morgan and Discover. Discover crushed it. Kinder Morgan missed very slightly on revenue and EPS, but not too bad. GE in the morning, American Airlines in the morning. Those are two of the big ones. And then after hours tomorrow, Texas Instruments and Intuitive Surgical, ISRG, robotics, AI, healthcare company, surgery company. So those two are the earnings we have tomorrow. That's it. Means we get another hour, so don't worry. I've been doing better because we already stream for like 2-3 hours a day anyway. So I've been doing better at not keeping you guys for an hour. By the way, I officially got my flight today to California. So February 10th to the 17th, I will be in the Bay Area. The meetup, I don't know what day it's going to be. It might be on Valentine's Day, which is the Friday. But then again, a lot of people might have plans that day, so we might do it on Thursday, the 13th instead. But it's going to be one of those days, 13th or 14th, either that Thursday or that Friday. And it's going to be in Palo Alto. Most likely, it's going to be in Palo Alto. So, yeah. That is what we're doing. I booked the Airbnb. I think I got a cheap Airbnb, bro. I got a pretty cheap Airbnb too. So I got everything booked, officially going down there. Second meetup will be in Palo Alto. And then March, we got to figure out what place we're going to for a meetup. Yeah, 2 to 3 hours of stream, which makes 6 hours a day. I've been doing better. LOL, we didn't say we don't like it. I know you guys like it, but still, bro, keeping you guys for that long is it's just a lot, bro. Keeping you guys here for this long, especially in the morning, bro. The morning is becoming 3 hours every day. Like we're not even doing 2 hours and 20 minutes. Like we're just going straight till 12 p.m. every day. Like by the time the stream's done, I'm like, oh shit, like it's almost 1 p.m. It's wild. Do I think we'll ever head to South Carolina? Maybe one day. It's just I want to go to a place where a lot of people will show up there, and some of these niche places just might not have enough people to be there. But maybe we can do it near places where people can drive or fly to. So there's some guy who's near Atlanta, even though he's not in Georgia, and he was saying he can come by even though he's not that far away, but he's not that close either. So maybe it'll be something like that. It'll be a one-day event. I think the best way to do these meetups are from Saturday in New York, it was easy because it was like the whole day. But if we do it on like a Friday, it should be something like a 5 to 10 p.m. thing. And I'll book a place for us. And that'll be what we do. So these will always be one-day events, likely not multiple days in a row, because that one day is where, everyone will try to make it. And yeah. That's how we're going to do it. So I'm going to have an RSVP form soon for Bay Area, and we'll get that ready to go. Got to come to Miami. Yes, Miami we'll definitely be doing Miami. We got to hit up SpaceX or Rocket Lab launch. Yeah, now I got to see a Rocket Lab launch. Now I'm an investor, bro. Now Peter Beck is in charge of some of my net worth. So it'd be really cool to see that. We should do a longer yearly meetup for everyone once a year. I do think this idea is better though, June. I do think this I think this idea is not bad of like, because like one time a year, everyone probably can't make it to, and everyone's already in different locations, but 12 different locations across the world with multiple dates, it's easier, I think, even if you're not in that location, to be like, okay, I can't make the Miami meetup, but I can at least fly down to the Atlanta meetup, right? So I do think having more dates is good. I think the one long weekend meetup might be Vegas. So it'll be like, I'll be there for like a weekend. We'll do the meetup on a Friday, and then, you know, Saturday, Sunday, whoever wants to chill, we can chill, because there's endless things to do in Vegas. But I do think one night where it's like a centralized location and everyone is there for that reason is really good. Also, some of you guys have been hitting me up. Some of you guys have some pretty nice condos and apartments in these locations I'm thinking of going to. And like in Miami, there's a bunch of people hitting me up that's just like, dude, you can come by to my condo and we don't even have to go to a bar and book a place. We just do it at their crib, which is really generous, really nice. And these are like very luxurious apartments that some of you guys have. So I think we can find a lot of different ways to do these meetups as well. All right, cool. That's it. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. I'll be back tomorrow on the Market Open, and yeah, that's it. We'll keep going from there. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow on the Market Open. Bye, everyone. Have a good one.